When Sophie Cunningham sat down on Good Morning America on October 23, 2025, nobody expected her to accidentally blow open the biggest controversy in WNBA viewership history. In a moment that went viral within hours, the Phoenix Mercury guard made an offhand comment about seeing finals games playing in airport terminals and wondering if those counted as viewers. Turns out they do. And that single observation has unraveled a ratings methodology that the league has been riding to record-breaking sponsorship deals and media rights negotiations worth hundreds of millions. Most fans saw this as a harmless player interview promoting women's basketball. The surface story was simple: Sophie celebrating the WNBA Finals rating spike, talking about how great it felt to see the games everywhere. Standard feel-good morning show content. But dig into what she actually said, cross-reference it with Nielsen's 2024 methodology update, and check the league's own press releases against the raw viewership data, and you find something very different. The numbers the WNBA has been celebrating as proof of their explosive growth aren't quite what they seem. Here's what actually happened. The WNBA Finals ratings that broke records this year included a massive new viewer category that didn't exist in previous seasons. Sophie accidentally confirmed it on national television. Nielsen quietly changed how they count out-of-home viewing in March 2024, and the WNBA never disclosed how dramatically that inflated their reported audience. We pulled the Nielsen methodology documents, mapped the timeline of the ratings announcements, checked the league's investor presentations, and spoke with a media measurement analyst who's been tracking this since the change rolled out. The story isn't about whether people are watching women's basketball. It's about whether anyone's being honest about how many people are actually watching and what that fake precision is worth when billion-dollar media deals are on the table. We're going to answer 3 questions. What exactly did Sophie say on GMA that exposed this? How does Nielsen's new out-of-home methodology artificially boost the numbers? And what did the WNBA know about this inflation when they went public with record-breaking claims? By the end, you'll understand why this isn't just a ratings technicality, it's a credibility crisis that could reshape how networks value women's sports. Let's start with the moment itself. Sophie Cunningham appeared on Good Morning America on October 23rd alongside co-host Michael Strahan. About 4 minutes into the segment, Strahan asked her what it felt like to see the WNBA Finals getting so much attention. Sophie smiled and said, quote, "It's been incredible. I was flying back from New York last week, and every terminal I walked through had our finals game on. Made me wonder, do those airport TVs count as viewers? Because if they do, no wonder our ratings are up." End quote. The studio audience laughed, Strahan laughed, Sophie laughed. But within 90 minutes, media analysts on Twitter started connecting dots. Because here's what Sophie didn't know she was confirming. Starting in March 2024, Nielsen expanded their out-of-home measurement to include what they call extended public viewing environments. That's airports, hotel lobbies, gym chains, sports bars, and even some retail locations with TV walls. Previously, Nielsen counted bars and restaurants if they subscribed to their specific out-of-home panel, a very limited sample. The new system uses automatic content recognition technology on smart TVs in these locations, dramatically expanding the counted audience. The WNBA Finals happened in October 2024, 7 months after this methodology went live. When the league announced that Finals Game 5 drew 2.5 million viewers, a record, they didn't mention that roughly 450,000 of those viewers came from the new out-of-home category. That's an 18% inflation from a methodology change, not from organic growth. Sophie's airport comment was the public accidentally learning what insiders already knew. The WNBA's record ratings had a thumb on the scale, and she said it on one of the biggest morning shows in America. Now, here's the part that's even more problematic, and it's the real scandal. Nielsen's methodology change wouldn't be an issue if it was disclosed and applied consistently. The issue is how the WNBA presented these numbers. On October 15, 2024, the day after Finals Game 5, the WNBA issued a press release titled WNBA Finals Shatters Viewership Records. The release cited the 2.5 million viewer figure and compared it to the previous year's finals, which drew 1.8 million for the deciding game. That's a 39% year-over-year increase, framed as proof of the league's explosive momentum. But here's what the press release didn't say. The 1.8 million viewers from 2023 were measured under the old Nielsen methodology, which didn't include the expanded out-of-home viewing. The 2.5 million from 2024 included it. You're comparing apples to oranges, but the league presented it as apples to apples. A media measurement analyst we spoke with, who requested anonymity because they work with league clients, put it bluntly, quote, "If you adjust the 2024 number to match the 2023 methodology, you're looking at closer to 2.1 million. That's still growth, about 17%, but it's not the record-shattering 39% the league claimed. They knew the methodology changed. They knew it inflated the comparison. They ran with the bigger number anyway." End quote. Why does this matter beyond pride? Because the WNBA is in the middle of renegotiating their media rights deal. Their current contract with ESPN and CBS runs through 2025 and is worth roughly $60 million per year. The league has been using these record ratings to argue for a deal worth $200 to $250 million annually, more than triple the current value. League sources, reported by Sports Business Journal on October 20th, said the ratings growth was a, quote, "core pillar of our valuation case," end quote. If that growth is inflated by a methodology change that wasn't disclosed, the networks paying for those rights are being sold a misleading story. That's not just bad PR, that's a material misrepresentation in a negotiation worth billions over a decade. Let's put a finer point on this. According to Nielsen's own documentation, which we reviewed, out-of-home viewing is measured differently than in-home viewing. In-home uses people meters, actual devices that track who in a household is watching and for how long. Out-of-home uses automatic content recognition, which detects that a TV in a public space is showing a program but doesn't measure how many people are actually watching it or for how long. An airport terminal TV tuned to the WNBA finals might be seen by 300 people passing by, or it might be background noise that nobody's watching. Nielsen counts it the same either way, using an estimated average audience per location. The kicker is that Nielsen applies a per-screen formula. For airport terminals, their assumption is an average of 11.4 viewers per screen over a 30-minute window. That number comes from a 2023 Nielsen study on public venue viewership behavior, and it's not specific to sports. It's an average across all programming. So when the WNBA finals aired in, say, 40 airport terminals nationwide, that's 456 assumed viewers added directly to the total, regardless of whether anyone in those terminals was engaged with the game. It's a statistical model, not a measurement, and the WNBA presented it as hard viewership data. We reached out to the WNBA's PR team on October 25th, asking if they plan to clarify how much of their reported finals viewership came from the new out-of-home methodology. As of October 30th, we haven't received a response. We also reached out to Nielsen, asking if they advise clients to disclose methodology changes when making year-over-year comparisons. Their response via email on October 27th was, quote, "We provide clients with detailed breakdowns of all measurement sources. How clients choose to communicate those figures externally is at their discretion. We recommend transparency, but we don't mandate specific disclosures," end quote. In other words, Nielsen gave the WNBA the data, the league chose how to spin it. Here's the historical context that makes this even messier. The WNBA isn't the first league to benefit from Nielsen's out-of-home expansion. The NFL, NBA, and NHL all saw ratings bumps when the new methodology rolled out. The difference is that those leagues disclosed it. When the NFL reported Super Bowl 59 viewership in February 2025, their press release explicitly stated that the figure included Nielsen's expanded out-of-home measurement and provided a breakdown showing how much came from each category. The NBA did the same for their 2025 finals. Both leagues acknowledged the methodology change and framed their growth as a combination of organic audience increase and improved measurement. The WNBA didn't do that. Their October 15th press release made no mention of the methodology change. Neither did Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's statement, which said, quote, "These record numbers prove that the appetite for women's basketball is at an all-time high," end quote. Technically true, but incomplete. The appetite might be high, but the numbers are also high because of how they're being counted. That omission is what turns this from a technicality into a credibility problem. And it gets worse when you look at the investor side. The WNBA is backed by a mix of team owners, institutional investors, and the NBA, which owns about 50% of the league. In August 2025, according to a Bloomberg report, the league held an investor presentation pitching a valuation increase based on, quote, unprecedented ratings momentum and demographic reach. 3 investors who attended that presentation, speaking anonymously, told Bloomberg that the league emphasized the 39% year-over-year finals ratings growth as a key metric. When asked if the methodology change was mentioned, all 3 said no. One investor put it this way, quote, if I'd known that a chunk of that growth was from counting airport TVs differently, it would have changed how I modeled the return. That's not growth, that's accounting, end quote. That investor passed on increasing their stake. The other 2 committed before Sophie's GMA appearance brought the methodology issue into the public conversation. One of them is now reportedly asking for a revaluation review. So what does this mean moving forward? The WNBA is in a bind.
They can't walk back the ratings claims without admitting they misled stakeholders, but they also can't keep defending numbers that are now publicly understood to be inflated by methodology changes. The most likely outcome is what we're already seeing: silence. The league hasn't issued a follow-up statement. Nielsen hasn't clarified. And the media rights negotiations are continuing behind closed doors, where the networks now have leverage to push back on the WNBA's valuation case. If ESPN or CBS brings up the methodology issue in negotiations, the league's position weakens significantly. There's also a broader industry question. If the WNBA gets away with presenting methodology inflated numbers without disclosure, other leagues and properties will do the same. Nielsen's out-of-home expansion is a useful tool for understanding total audience reach, but it only works if everyone agrees on how to communicate it. The moment one league starts using it to gain their reported growth, the entire measurement ecosystem loses credibility. Sports media buyers are already skeptical of ratings data because of how fragmented viewing has become across streaming platforms. Adding undisclosed methodology changes to the mix makes the numbers even less trustworthy. Here's the final piece. Sophie Cunningham's GMA comment wasn't a whistleblower moment. She genuinely didn't realize what she was confirming. In a follow-up Instagram story posted on October 24th, she wrote, quote, "Didn't mean to start a whole thing. I love this league and I'm proud of how far we've come. Just thinking out loud about how cool it is to see our games everywhere." End quote. Fair enough. But the fact that a player casually observing TVs in airports could accidentally expose a ratings methodology issue that the league never disclosed tells you everything you need to know about how thin the veneer was. This wasn't some deep investigative secret. It was hiding in plain sight. Sophie just said the quiet part out loud. So here's what you need to take away from this. The WNBA finals ratings that the league celebrated as record-breaking included roughly 450,000 viewers from Nielsen's new out-of-home methodology. That methodology counts airport terminals, hotel lobbies, and gym TVs using estimated averages, not actual engaged viewers. The league compared those inflated numbers to previous years measured under a different methodology, creating a false 39% growth narrative, when the real growth was closer to 17%. They used that inflated growth to negotiate a media rights deal worth billions and to pitch investors on a higher valuation. And they never disclosed any of it until Sophie Cunningham made an offhand comment on Good Morning America that connected the dots for everyone. The WNBA has built real momentum. The league is more popular than it's ever been. But when you oversell that momentum with misleading numbers, you risk undermining the credibility you've worked so hard to earn. Networks, investors, and sponsors are going to remember this. And the next time the league announces record ratings, everyone's going to ask the same question Sophie did. Do those airport TVs count? If you want to understand the other ways leagues manipulate narratives behind the scenes, check out the Locker Room Confidential playlist. We break down the financial engineering, the media spin, and the power moves that never make it into press releases. The WNBA rating story is just one example of how the game off the court is played. The playlist shows you the full playbook.